Just thought I'd come out here on this beautiful day, walk into one of my pastures and see some of our furry friends that we get the fiber from. So here is one of my girls' pastures. We call these girls the Heathers because they're kind of witchy. And not all of them are out here. A couple of them are in the barn, but right here you see this girl. Her name's Cleo. She's staring at me. Hi, Cleo. Oh, she's going to turn around. And then you got the dappled one back there. She's an Appaloosa. And her name's Peaches and Cream. Here's a fawn one named Esther. Here is Sophia, named after Sophia the First, that cartoon my daughter loved when she was little. And they're going to go run. And here's the sweetest girl on the whole farm. Her name's Gabby. See how dirty she is. She loves to lay in mud puddles. But Gabby is very sweet. Likes to just cuddle up with you. It's a very odd personality for an alpaca. But she is a sweetie. Watch, I could get right up to her and she's not going to move. Hey, Gabs. Hey, Gabs. You want to say hi? Say hi, Gabs. Oh, look at Gabby. She's such a good girl. Say hi, Gabby. Oh, look at the beautiful clouds behind you. That is a picture right there. All right, Gabby, say bye-bye. All right, so those are some of my girls. There's about 52. There's 48 alpacas and 4 llamas living here. You can see a lot of them are out. Some are in the barn. And see, Gabby's not moving. All right. Greetings from Alma Park. Hi, everybody. Okay. So yesterday, if you saw my video or if you joined via Zoom, there was a window that was like shining on everything, making everything crazy. So I decided today to move into my studio. So as you can see, I have purple walls. Oh, by the way, I'm Rose from the Yarn Shop at Alma Park, and we are located in Jobstown, New Jersey, in Burlington County. And I started raising alpacas in 2002, which led me into fiber arts. And I opened the yarn side of the business in 2004. And we have been in Jobstown now for 9 years. And we have a 2,000 square foot store and studio. We make a lot of the stuff here because I'm an indie dyer, indie designer, fiber artist, yada, 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 for those of you who don't know me. So, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to use the chat function. Oh, good. Somebody said they could hear me. Awesome. So what we're going to do today, I moved into my studio, as I said, because that window was making it a little difficult at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to see anything. And I think this is much better. So behind me is the dry side of my studio. That's where the fiber bats and the fiber stuff happen. The other side of my studio, which is a complete disaster right now, is the wet side of my studio, and that's where I dye yarn and fiber, which I'm not going to show you because it's truly a mess. But behind me, as you can see, there's a drum carter over here, and there's another drum carter behind the mannequin, and there's a scale and a blending board. And I have fiber hanging all over the walls in all different colors to inspire me, as well as to keep it in my reach when I'm making bats. So I'm going to start off with the design showcase of some of our original designs, my original designs, and feel free to ask any questions. All these designs are free, and they are both available on my website as well as on Ravelry. So let's start off. So one of the first designs I came out with last year was called the Castle Cap. Okay. It is a very simple pattern. It's basically just slip 2, knit 2. Okay. And my original design was done in worsted weight, and that's what the pattern's written for. This is a hat done by one of our customers named Christine. Excuse me. Hats off to Christine. Get it? That was funny. What she did this in a DK held together with my mohair silk lace. So it came out really, really cool, really fuzzy. And I just thought it was pretty awesome. And the two colors, so this is called the Castle Cap, okay? And the two colors that Christine used were Dornish Sweet Summer Wine, is the actual name on my site that I dyed, and Miss Figgy for the mohair lace. So this is Dornish Sweet Summer Wine in Squish DK and Miss Figgy in my mohair lace, my Cirrus. So together, she held them together and did that hat. You can also, as I said, the pattern was written for worsted, and you know, any worsted weight yarn will work. Another design that I did was, you'll probably see a theme because I did a lot of stuff with the castle theme. So this is called the Castle COWL. This is in worsted, and I did this in both worsted and chunky, and you'll see the chunky version in a minute. Very simple COWL. These are all simple beginner patterns. So, you know, if you're trying to teach somebody in your life that is, you know, trying to teach them knitting, these are great beginner patterns for knitters, for beginner knitters. So this is called the Castle COWL, and this was done in Miss Figgy, and this is my Squish Worsted. This is Miss Figgy. Next is, and I believe this was the first pattern I came out with last year when I first started publishing patterns. This is also the Castle COWL, okay? And this is done in super bulky. So chunky, super bulky, those types of yarns. You can do this in my super bulky. This is a colorway called Melisandra. For any of you who are Game of Thrones fans, you know who Melisandra is. And this is the same stitch, just bulky yarn on big needles. I actually think this is size 19 needles, which is why I made a worsted version, because most people don't have size 19 needles sitting around their house. And this was in Melisandra. I have Castle cuffs. They're basically wrist warmers. Again, colorway Melisandra. They're just wrist warmers. Okay, keep you warm, keep your pulse points warm. Those are really easy. And you can actually make the Castle cap and the Castle cuffs out of the same skein of worsted weight yarn. This is worsted weight yarn. And again, colorway Melisandra. I came out with another COWL, and this is called the Lady of Winterfell in color Sansa. Because again, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, you get that reference. I'm a crazy Game of Thrones fan. So again, a very simple COWL. You can make it longer, wider if you cast on more stitches. It's a simple repeating pattern. Done in colorway Sansa. This is my Andes Mountain sport weight yarn. You can use any DK or any sport weight yarn to make that COWL. You can also go up on needle size and make it worsted or even do a fingering. This, which is by far my most successful pattern to date, was the Wool Walk in April. It was the Wool Walk shawl. I like to do a shawl for Wool Walk, so I created a new pattern, and it's called Hindsight, and that has been downloaded on Ravelry like 3,000 times already, and there's a lot of projects up there for you to go and look at. But this is called Hindsight. It is 3 skeins of DK yarn. The colors I used here, the yellow is Lannister, the purple is Concord Grape, and then the multicolored variegated is my Hindsight colorway, which is the Wool Walk colorway this year. And this is done in my DK Squish, and this is all in DK. So any DK weight yarn. This is actually a simple pattern. It doesn't look simple, but it's very simple stitches. The difference is that, or the reason that it looks more complicated than it is that because the color changes. So there's a lot of color changes. And so it looks much more difficult than it is, but it's a really simple pattern. It's an asymmetrical shawl and there's some lace. So basically you have, you know, some yarn over knit two togethers, knit front and back, and, you know, slipping a stitch on the first part of the row so you get that nice edge. That's about it. And another pattern, my most recent pattern is called the Happy Rain baby blanket. Now I don't have that actual baby blanket because it was actually a consignment item for a customer, but Jess knitted it in another colorway. Okay. All right. So this is really hard to like display. Okay. But this is called the Happy Rain baby blanket. It's on Ravelry in my site, and it is basket weave. Okay. But it also has a seed stitch border and a selvage edge. So it is a really nice finished edge. You know, selvage edge, this is one stitch smaller than an I-cord edge, but it's a 2-stitch selvage edge. And this colorway that Jess did it in is called Spring Camouflage. So this is a worsted weight yarn. The pattern's written for a worsted weight yarn. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, you can make a blanket for a bassinet or any of that stuff. It's a pretty decent sized baby blanket if you knit it, and it took 2.5 skeins of worsted yarn. Any worsted weight yarn would do. Okay. Are there any questions on my patterns? No? Okay. All right. So now, I don't know if any of you guys that are on the phone are spinners. Are any of you spinners? No? Okay. So my next part of the meeting is going to be basically about spinning. I'm not going to do an actual spinning demo, but I'm going to talk about how you would work with an Art Batt. We do, and actually the first thing I started out when I opened my yarn business in 2004, besides sending fiber to the mill to get my animals back, was Art Batts. It was like a brand new thing. There were only a few people doing it back then in 2004. You know, the internet wasn't what it was today. And so kind of that's how I made a name for myself early on, was doing Art Batts. And of course I use my own alpaca fiber, and they're really, really fun to spin. I encourage any of you who are on the Zoom call or anybody who watches this video up on YouTube later to definitely learn to spin, because it is so much fun. And people are shaking their head. No, I don't need another hobby. I don't need another hobby. Yeah, I said that too about weaving. And I think I might have said that about a couple of things that I now do. So, you know, but I just want to go through what you can do with how you can spin an Art Batt. So I'm just going to show you what I'm talking about for those of you who don't know. So this is an Art Batt that is folded up nice and pretty so that it displays well on my shelf. Okay, and this is how I ship them as well. And this is called Antique Romance. And it is a rose gray alpaca named Juliet, which is the brownish parts. And then you have some beautiful, like maroony merino, and it has tussa silk and of course some Angelina. And you get this, and if you're a spinner, you know, you just want to spin something like that. You just want to squish it and spin it, because that's what we do. We just are like fiber crazy. You know, we love to squish stuff. Here's another bat. This is called Happy Birthday. Okay. It's called Happy Birthday. And it has like, you know, the brown in it is like the chocolate frosting, and then all the colors of the rainbow are like the sprinkles. And this has baby alpaca merino, soft silk, and some fire star sparkle, of course. And this is really cool. And I actually didn't bring the skein into the meeting here so that I could show you what it spins up like, but this is a really cool bat to spin. It's a lot of fun. And you don't know what you're gonna get until you're done spinning it. So this, if you saw my video yesterday, this is purple and black. And this is called Midnight in the Garden of Good and Purple. I showed the skein yesterday that this was spun into. And this is alpaca from two girls named Winona and Serafina. And it's alpaca merino, a bunch of silks, some bamboo, and a pinch of Angelina. And it is, let's see, you could see the sparkle, I think. So, and that is a really fun bat to spin. And you know, most of my bats, they have at least 50 to 60% alpaca in them because of the, you know, I like the softness of alpaca, but I always like to put some, thank you. I always like to put some merino and silk in my bats, and most of my bats have sparkle. I do some bats without sparkle because some people don't like sparkle, gasp. But you know, most of my bats have sparkle in it, but of course I'll do any bat that somebody wants without sparkle or without any. I don't put like fibers in my bats typically that people are typically allergic to, like mohair or stuff like that. Most of the time, the majority of my bats contain alpaca, merino, silk, sparkle. And then, you know, sometimes I put angora, maybe some other wools, but I try to stay there so that everybody can really kind of feel that they're soft. So what does a bat look like when you take it out of its cute little jelly roll? So this is what a bat looks like when it comes off the drum carder, which is how you make a bat. You put it on a drum carder. And this is what it comes out. So it's just like a long square. I'm going to fold this in half so you can see. So it's just a long square, okay? And we roll it up to make it look pretty on the shelf, okay? And this is one of my newest bats. I have to spin this so that I can put a sample up in the online and in the store. And this is mostly alpaca from a little boy named Snowball that I dyed because I don't have any blue alpacas. And I added a little silk and a little bit of lavender just to kind of offset it. Now, how do you spin this? Because I'm sure that if you're a spinner, you know how to spin from a top or a roving, but how do you spin a bat? Well, what I like to do, if it is a bat that I'm not trying to preserve any color runs, meaning that, you know, it doesn't have distinct colors going this way, I like to just roll it up like a big rolag. Okay? Like a big rolag. So that you've got it just in a nice roll. And then I start to draft it from the end. And that's where I spin from. Okay? Now, you can also rip this. Okay, you can rip it in half. You can rip it in half again. You can roll it up again, or you can simply draft from the end here. You could do that. You could also take a diz, which is just a washer with a hole in the middle, and attenuate the whole bat, meaning just make the whole bat into long roving. I like to do it by my hand without the diz. I find that a little cumbersome in trying to get the bat drafted like that. So I just draft it out and I spin right from there. You can also break it like this. Just break off pieces of it and spin from the fold, from the end, where you put it over your finger, and you just spin from this end, like that. Okay, so there's a lot of ways that you can spin from a bat. You know, for those of you who may see this video later on YouTube, because I know that people have said who are on the Zoom call don't spin, you shouldn't be afraid of art bats. You shouldn't be afraid of bats. I will say they're a little more challenging to spin for new folks. They're more challenging than, say, roving or rolags, but they're easier in most cases than spinning from top of difficult fibers, like when I teach people to spin, I try to make them stay away from pure merino that's in top form, because it's a short staple length. It's only typically 2 3/4 inches. And it is really difficult for new people to spin such a short staple length of such a smooth fiber. So I try to make them stay away from that. So bats are actually easier to spin than pure merino in top form. I think roving is the easiest thing to spin, along with Rolags. And I would say that Art Batts are right in there with some of the slick fiber. And then, you know, there's other easy things. There's other hard things. It depends. My most challenging fiber that when I spin is pure Bombex silk, which is cultivated silk. It is so difficult. It is so slippery. I can't spin it on my electric spinning wheel. I have to spin it on my manual wheel or drop spindle. It just slips past each other so easily. And I just, it's difficult. I could do it, but I don't enjoy it because it is pretty difficult. And most people will tell you that pure silk is probably the most difficult thing to spin. So are there any questions? I mean, this is like going by really, really fast. I have an hour, but you know, I can show some other bats that I'm working on so that you guys, oh, I wanted to show you, I forgot. I'm working on a new pattern, and all I wanted to do as a sneak peek is show you the colors. I forgot. So I'm doing another 3-color shawl. Okay, DK. I like DK shawls and I like 3 colors. And because, you know, I'm a yarn dyer, so of course I like multiple colors. And so here's the colors I'm using. I'm not going to show you what the design is because, you know, that's secretive for now. Plus I might change it. But here's my 3 colors that I'm using. So I'm going to use, this is called Wild Horses. Okay, and it is like a light, very, very light, almost ethereal gray background with black and brown speckles. And it's called Wild Horses. It's a really cool color. This is just black and it's called Night's Watch. And this is called Cherrywood. Okay, so I'm working on it with those 3 colors. I'm doing my sample now, and then I'll knit up the one to post with those 3 colors. And it's going to be I'm trying to go for like an intermediate, you know, advanced, beginner, intermediate, a little bit more complicated than this. So there's going to be a couple stitches in there that might be a little bit more advanced. I haven't decided yet. I'm working on it now. But those are the 3 colors that are going to be in the final version that I'll be posting online and to Ravelry. So look for that in the next couple of months, because after I finish it, I have to get it tested before we get it on Ravelry. And yeah, so now for those of you, I don't know who saw my video yesterday, if you did or you didn't, but so for everybody who, oh, thank you, Carol, thank you. So we yesterday talked about all of the hand dyed and hand spun fiber that yarn, excuse me, that we have in our store, and our farm yarn, which we have a lot of. So if you didn't get to see that, or if you didn't get to join the Zoom video, it is up on the Wool Walk website. I'm sorry, on the Wool Walk YouTube channel. It's up there. I edited it, so I edited out all the stuff that, you know, people didn't, you know, need to hear, like some of the background noise and everything. And I also included a tour of the store at the end of the video so that people could see a tour of the store if they hadn't been in our store yet. And I also debuted a savings code because we have a lot of stuff on sale that's up on our website. However, some things that are only to people who either join the Zoom meetings or watch the video up on YouTube is a special code. And that code is, if you buy any hand-painted yarn from Indie Dyed Yarn by Rose, which is me, or Indie Dyed Yarn by Jess, who is my associate, or any of our farm yarn that is made from our own alpacas, and you spend $100, you get 10% off with the code NJWW2020, and there's our website, yourlysonline.com. Okay. So if you've used that code, thank you. I didn't see, let me see what that chat just said. Watched it at 1, then shopped on. Awesome. So very good. So yeah, so, you know, don't forget to put that code in if you haven't done it already, Carol. So don't forget to put that code in. And I forgot what I was talking about because, you know, I get so distracted. Something shiny like a chat feature and it just distracts me. So, you know, that's what happens when, you know, I don't know what I'm going to blame it on today. Menopause, post-mommy brain. My daughter's 10. You know, we'll blame it on, you know, old age, senility, who knows? You know, whatever. But I get distracted easily when, yeah. I'm sure that other people can identify with that. But so yeah, use that code. So that's on any of our hand paints, any of our farm yarn, and the hand paints by both myself and Jess are on there. I mean, we have like 1,600 hand dyed skeins in the store, and we have like yes, squirrel. It's like my dog. So we have over 1,600 hand paint skeins in our store at the beginning of Wool Walk. There's not that many now, but that's what we started out as. And we have, I didn't count the number of farm yarn, but we probably have about 400 skeins of farm yarn as well. So you have plenty to choose from. And you know, I could, if you guys want to unmute your microphone and ask me any questions or say hello, you know, I'm pretty cool on what I talked about. If you guys wanted to see anything else or ask any other questions, I'd be happy to do that.
Sweater you have on.
Oh, yeah, I didn't, you know what? I wore it specially. Let me show you. Let me tilt this down. So this is the Descent sweater, Andrea Rangel, I believe. Yes, Andrea Rangel. And this is the Descent sweater. Oh my goodness, I have fuzz from my bats. Let me take that off. Okay. It's the Descent sweater. So it is, you know, Ruth Justice Ginsburg robe with her collar. And I thought it would be appropriate, since she passed not long ago, to wear it today for my second, you know, Zoom call. This sweater is knitted in worsted. It is, the two colors are raspberry and Valerian steel. The gray is Valerian steel. The pink is raspberry. The buttons also come from our shop, and it is color work. And let me tell you, the color work down here where you're carrying the color a long way, that's tough. There is some, you know, I do have some dimpling. You know, even though I do a lot of color work, that was tough to keep the tension, but, you know, blocking solves a lot of problems. And then it's steeked.
Oh,
yes, I know, scary. We did a whole workshop in steeking. I know, steeking, people are like, steek, eek. I have some videos up on steeking that, you know, how to do it on a coffee cozy. And there's a great pattern on Ravelry called, and it's free. I don't know why she has her pattern free. It's so detailed. It's awesome. She could definitely charge for it, but it's called Steek This Coffee Cozy. Oh. And we did that workshop first in the store. I mean, this is a couple of years ago, because the sweater's, I think, over a year old. We did Steek This Coffee Cozy first as a workshop, so people could cut a project that was, first of all, not important because it was a coffee cozy, and number two, it was like 50 yards of yarn. So if you ruined it, it wasn't a big deal. It's not like knitting, you know, 1,200 yards of a sweater, which is a lot of time and money. So it's steeked. And so then what I did was, because you're not really supposed to steek superwash, you should really steek non-superwash fiber, but you know, I'm a rebel, and this is superwash because this is my Squish Worsted, and I wanted it to be superwashed. And so I steeked it. And of course, when you steek superwash, it doesn't grab on itself. So it likes to start kind of unraveling like pantyhose. And that started to happen a little. So what I did was, I'm also a sewer. So I went and got Stitch Witch, which is a basting thing where you could put two seam together. And I put grosgrain ribbon over that area that started to like unravel a little. And I did a double reinforcement before I steeked. I sewed the reinforcement, you know, with with a hand sewn sewing thread. And I also did a crochet reinforcement. It didn't matter. It's still unraveled in a couple of spots. And I was worried that it was going to unravel my color work, which that would have been horrible. So I took the grosgrain ribbon, I put it over there. And then another tip for any of you who may not know this, if you look at this, I have a button on the inside and a button on the outside. So if you're putting buttons on your sweater, you know, I'm sure most knitters know this who knit sweaters, but if you're putting buttons on your sweater or even a cowl and it's going to be opened and closed a lot, what's going to happen if you only put one button on the outside? It's going to pull the yarn and the button's going to be droopy and it's going to be hanging, and you're eventually going to get pulled yarn in the back and it's going to start to mess up your sweater. If you put a button on the reverse side and sew them together, okay, that's not going to happen. So you can get, you know, I used a decorative red heart button because it matched the sweater, but you know, like I sell those little clear, inexpensive buttons specifically for the pom-poms on hats or this, and you'll never get a pull because it is now solidly in there and it's going to pull against the button and not ruin your yarn. So if you didn't know that, there's my tip of the day. So there you go. See, that was a little bonus. So I wasn't even going to talk about that because I totally forgot I had the sweater on. But no, this is called Descent by Andrea Rangel, and I'll also put that in my show notes because I forgot I had it on. But it's a beautiful pattern, isn't it? Yeah, I really like this pattern. So and it, you know, it was a lot of fun to knit, and because it was worsted, it was relatively quick. Because of those, you know, any of us who have knitted fingering weight sweaters, that takes 74,000 hours. They look beautiful, but they take forever. I really prefer DK sweaters or worsted weight sweaters because I could actually get it done in my lifetime, you know, and, you know, I'm not getting any younger, so need to move on that. I love fingering weight sweaters for their coolness and comfortable. I just, you know, that's such a long time to knit, so I tend to stay away from them, you know, often. But any other questions?
I don't think so.
No. So did you notice my walls are purple?
I did.
Did you notice? Yeah, I'm a purple freak. So a quick funny story. So when my husband built the store and the studio, and they were painting my studio, and I was up at the house because my daughter was young, and I was up at the house doing something up there, and I said, my husband calls me, and he's like, "You better come down here and see this color." You know, I went and picked out the color at like Home Depot or Lowe's, I don't remember. And he's like, "You better come down and see this color." I said, "Why? What's wrong?" And he's like, "It looks like Barney threw up in here." So I'm like, oh, geez. So I come down and I look and I walk in, and him and his friend are painting it. And they're looking at me like, you know, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's gorgeous. I love it." And they were like, "Okay." But, you know, I like to be in a space that, you know, gives me joy and creativity, because if you're not happy creating something, you're not going to produce something that's nice or special or good. And you got to kind of love what you do. It has to bring you a little joy, and purple brings me joy. So, and you know, like if you look at all the colors, I've got
I'm
so
looking
many
at all
colors
the
on the wall.
you have in there. There are some yarn stores that aren't this big.
Well, my studio is, I don't know how big my studio is, because, you know, I am so terrible with space, but my studio is probably, it's it's probably like 800, maybe, well, no, the classroom, the whole building's 2,000 square feet, and I have a classroom. I would say this is probably 600 square feet, the studio. Because then there's the other side where I do all the dyeing. Like, I'll just show it to you. Don't judge me on like a mess, but you'll see my steam tables.
Yeah.
And like, this is the messy part, my sink. Like you see, like I have clothes there, and because I changed when I came down this morning into my sweater, because I leave my knitted stuff down here. I don't leave it at the house because, you know, I have dogs. I don't want dog hair on it. So, and I wash it here anyway. So yeah, I changed when I got down here this morning. I was wearing something else. So I got clothes all over the studio. The studio's a mess on that side. This side, not so bad, because this is a dry side. It really doesn't get messy, the dry side. But yeah, so the studio is about 600 square feet. My store is about 1,100. You know, the actual retail space. And then we have a huge classroom, which, by the way, we're not using right now because of COVID. And, you know, like a kitchen and a bathroom. And it's attached to the barn, like the store is attached to the barn. So the animals are like right behind this wall, which is kind of cool because I could look out the window and see them. I could hear them on this side. It's kind of like if I walk out my door, there's the barn. So, you know, I'm surrounded by the animals, but yeah, it's kind of fun.
Okay. And your hours this week?
This week, so we are open today till 4. Monday we're closed. Tuesday and Wednesday 1 to 4. Thursday 1 to 8. Friday 1 to 4. And then Saturday and Sunday of next week, both days 10 to 4.
Okay.
So we're open all week except Monday. And if any of those times don't work, I tell people just call me and I can accommodate you in the morning, you know, or the evening, whichever. You know, if somebody doesn't want to shop with anybody else in the store, or if they can't make it in the hours we have, I'm happy to accommodate them. You know, we only allow 5 people in the store at any given time because of the pandemic. We're cleaning high touch surfaces between customers, and obviously you know, everybody has to wear a mask. And so we're doing all the stuff that we're supposed to do, and we're limiting it to 5 people because we just think that that's a good, even though my store is bigger than most yarn stores, you know, with all the yarn in it, there's not much space to walk around. So if you're walking around, you're gonna bump into people, and you know, so we're trying to keep it safe. Where do you live, Carol?
Well, right now, so I typically live in North Jersey.
Okay.
And we also have a house down the shore.
Oh, okay. So that's why it says beach house behind you.
Yeah.
We're down the shore because I'm a Jersey Shore girl.
Well, I was watching when you did the last one, Bayville.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I was looking at your down the shore.
Down the Jersey Shore, that yarn line.
Yeah. And
I figured,
so
you know, it's a good summer yarn. So
cotton merino, right?
Yeah.
But would you mix that with merino? So if I wanted to do a different colored, say the shawl behind you. So if I use the cotton merino as the solids, would you mix in 100% merino as the variegated, or?
I think it depends on what you're going to be making.
Okay.
So, like if you were doing a shawl, I think that would be okay. But I think if you were doing a sweater, you might run into gauge issues. Like a shawl really is irrelevant on gauge, right? Like, you know, a shawl's a shawl. It doesn't matter if it's a little bigger, a little smaller. But I probably wouldn't mix that particular yarn with merino if you were doing a sweater, because it is a little, and you know, you said you're going to come in this week. You can see and you can feel it. It feels different than 100% superwash merino, or even a merino nylon or a merino alpaca blend. It definitely feels different. You could feel the cotton in it. And that's why those colors if you saw my video yesterday, the colors for down the Jersey Shore, they're more muted than like my 100% merino colors, because the cotton kind of doesn't take the dye. So there's definitely, you definitely can tell the difference in the yarn. It's great for baby blankets. It's great for a sweater. Like I'm trying to do that. I'll finish the Soldotna someday, I swear. But I wouldn't mix it for like a sweater or something, with a merino. So what is Amy saying? Amy, you could unmute yourself so we could talk. I'm watching from Asheville, North Carolina, but I'm originally from Bergen County. Yay! I planned to come, even bought the tote, but then, COVID. I know. Well, that's why, that's why we did this virtual component this year. When we got canceled and the whole state of New Jersey closed down, we talked about over the summer of doing the virtual component, because for two reasons. First of all, we didn't know if we were going to get closed down again. Even when we came back up, we didn't know if we were going to get closed down again. We didn't know how people would feel about shopping in person. And at the time that the yarn stores started talking about it, half of us weren't even open to the public except by appointment or curbside pickup. So we did the virtual component, and I'm hoping that we keep the virtual component every year, because see, you're from North Carolina, and because you can't come up because of COVID, you would miss the whole wool walk. At least now you can get to see some people talking and babbling on like I do about what we have. And my video from yesterday shows a tour of the store. And you said you already have a tote. So if you purchase something online, Amy, I'll send you the button. I brought a tote in today. There's my button. Okay. And that's our wool walk tote. That's our wool walk tote this year. State of New Jersey. So, if you purchase something online, just leave me a note to say that you need a button, because you already have the tote, and I'm happy to send you a button. Because that was part of the wool walk, right? You guys were supposed to come to the stores and collect all the buttons to put on the tote. And
I think that's a fabulous idea.
Wasn't it? I mean,
those little buttons are so cute.
Aren't they adorable? So, and we had planned this, and it was going to be awesome back in April, right? Because all the stores were participating that were on the tote. Some stores have closed now, some stores aren't participating. And, we had all agreed that wherever you bought your tote. And then when you came in the store and you had your tote with you, you got a button from my store, so that you could collect all 21 buttons if you went to 21 stores. And we all thought it was a fantastic idea. We loved it. The graphics are awesome. And then, the whole state closed down, the whole country closed down,
The buttons, they're not going to go away. They'll
Right.
be here for next year too.
Exactly. So I have my button. So if you guys do order online, all you have to do is put a note in the notes section when you check out to say that, you'd like a button, and I'll send you a button. So, it is what it is right now. We're doing the best we can with what we've been dealt. And, I'm just trying to stay positive and hope that we don't get shut down again this winter. That's all I'm trying to do, is that we stay positive, stay smart, stay open. So, and just keep spinning and knitting and dyeing and weaving and crocheting and doing all that stuff. And because it's great to take your mind off stuff, as we all know. So, all right, guys, any other questions? No? All right, so I'm going to put this up on YouTube as well, on our Wool Walk channel. And I'm going to add at the end a tour I took this morning with the alpacas. I went into the alpaca pen with some of my young girls, and my young alpaca girls, and I had a little conversation with them, because you know what? they're never out at 2 o'clock in the afternoon because their lazy butts are in the barns having naps. But they're out in the morning when it's cool. So I went out there, had a little talk with them, and I'm going to put that at the end of the video. So if you have subscribed to the YouTube channel, the Wool Walk YouTube channel, you'll get a notification that my video went up, and you could just scroll past all of this because you've been here and go and watch the alpaca little tour. Okay? And I hope to see you this week, Carol and Amy. I hope to see you online. If you guys have any questions, you know, you can hit me up on Facebook or email or call the store. And don't forget the code, New Jersey Wool Walk 2020, and my online stores, your LYS online. And, you know, all these things will be in the show notes too. All my pattern links and this pattern that we discussed. And, you know, there you go. So, all right, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Stay safe and hope to see you soon. Bye.